The McCarthy witch hunt, a dark era of fear and repression in the annals of American history. Few periods evoke the chilling specter of paranoia and repression as vividly as the McCarthy era of the early 1950s. Named after Senator Joseph McCarthy of Wisconsin, this tumultuous chapter saw the United States gripped by an anti-communist frenzy that transformed dissent into a crime and political difference into a threat. What began as a legitimate concern over Soviet espionage during the Cold War metastasized into a witch hunt, where accusations supplanted evidence and fear replaced reason. The consequences were profound: careers destroyed, families torn apart, and a nation left questioning the cost of its freedom. This essay delves into the McCarthy witch hunt, exploring its origins, mechanisms, and the dark legacy it left behind. Now, before we move on, please help a small channel grow. Please like and subscribe. If you have any comments, good or bad, leave them below. Back to the story. The roots of McCarthyism lie in the geopolitical tensions of the post-World War II era. The United States, having emerged as a superpower, found itself locked in an ideological struggle with the Soviet Union. The revelation of Soviet spies within American institutions, such as the Algehis case and the Rosenberg espionage trial, fueled a genuine fear of communist infiltration. In this climate of uncertainty, McCarthy, a relatively obscure senator, seized the moment. On February 9, 1950, in a speech in Wheeling, West Virginia, he claimed to possess a list of 205 communists working in the State Department. Though the number fluctuated and the evidence remained elusive, the accusation ignited a firestorm. McCarthy's bombast tapped into a national anxiety, amplified by the Korean War and the specter of Red influence spreading across the globe. What followed was less a pursuit of justice than a campaign of terror. McCarthy, wielding his position as chairman of the Senate Permanent Subcommittee on Investigations, turned congressional hearings into public spectacles. The House Un-American Activities Committee, HUAC, though predating McCarthy, became a key instrument in this crusade, summoning hundreds of Americans to testify about their political beliefs and associations. Failure to cooperate, or worse, invocation of the Fifth Amendment, branded individuals as disloyal. The accused ranged from Hollywood screenwriters to government clerks, teachers to union organizers. The mere whisper of communist sympathy could cost someone their job, their reputation, and, in some cases, their liberty. The mechanisms of this witch hunt were as insidious as they were effective. Blacklists circulated in industries like entertainment and academia, barring suspected communists from employment. The FBI, under J. Edgar Hoover, compiled dossiers on thousands, often based on flimsy hearsay. Loyalty oaths became mandatory for public servants, forcing individuals to swear allegiance or face ostracism. The legal system, too, bent under the weight of anti-communist zeal. The Smith Act of 1940, which criminalized advocating the overthrow of the government, was wielded to imprison leaders of the Communist Party USA, even when their activities amounted to little more than speech. In this atmosphere, dissent was not merely discouraged, it was dangerous. The human toll was staggering. Take the Hollywood 10, a group of screenwriters and directors who, in 1947, refused to answer HUAC's questions about their political affiliations. Cited for contempt of Congress, they were fined, imprisoned, and blacklisted, their careers reduced to ash. Dalton Trumbo, one of the 10, later wrote from exile, "It will do no good to search for villains or heroes or saints or devils, because there were none, there were only victims." His words capture the indiscriminate nature of the purge. Guilt or innocence mattered less than perception. Beyond Hollywood, countless others faced similar fates: teachers fired for past membership in leftist groups, factory workers denounced by neighbors, families shunned for a relative's radicalism. McCarthy's crusade thrived on fear, but it also relied on a distorted moral clarity. He cast himself as a patriot, purging the nation of an existential threat. His supporters saw him as a bulwark against godless communism, his critics, a demagogue unraveling democracy. Yet the line between loyalty and tyranny blurred as the witch hunt expanded. Even moderate liberals, wary of being labeled soft on communism, hesitated to challenge him. The press, too, wavered. Some outlets fanned the flames, while others feared reprisal. In this vacuum of courage, McCarthy's power grew unchecked, until he overreached. The turning point came in 1954, during the Army McCarthy hearings. Accusing the U.S. Army of harboring communists, McCarthy faced a televised reckoning. For 36 days, millions watched as his bullying tactics and baseless claims unraveled. The pivotal moment arrived when Army Counsel Joseph Welch, exasperated by McCarthy's attack on a young aide, asked, "Have you no sense of decency, sir, at long last?" The question pierced the senator's armor, exposing his cruelty. Public opinion shifted, and the Senate censured McCarthy later that year. Disgraced and diminished, he faded into obscurity, dying in 1957. But the damage lingered. The legacy of McCarthyism is a dark stain on America's conscience. It revealed how fear could erode the principles of free speech and due process, turning a democracy into a crucible of suspicion. Thousands lost livelihoods. Some, like actor Philip Loeb, took their own lives under the strain. Beyond the individual tragedies, the era chilled political discourse, stifling dissent at a time when robust debate was vital. The term McCarthyism entered the lexicon as a synonym for baseless persecution, a warning of what happens when power feeds on panic. Yet the McCarthy witch hunt also prompts reflection on its echoes. In times of crisis, be it terrorism, pandemics, or ideological clashes, societies grapple with the tension between security and liberty. The impulse to root out enemies within persists, often cloaked in the language of protection. The McCarthy era teaches that such pursuits, unchecked, risk sacrificing the very values they claim to defend. It stands as a somber reminder: when dissent becomes a crime, and difference a threat, the prison bars rise not just for the accused, but for all. Please like and subscribe.